It is officially week 6, and we are breaking down a battle of teams who joined the SEC together just 12 years ago. It's number 9 Mizzou on the road at Texas A&M. And here to help us break down one of the biggest games in the SEC this weekend is Gerard Hamilton from Power Mizzou. Big welcome overall to Power Mizzou. And also Carter Carrolls from Gig 'em 24/7. Before we get into this breakdown, let me tell you a little bit more about this matchup. I mentioned that they joined together, but this is also a huge game because it's the only matchup in week 6 between AP-ranked teams. And the reason that you see a single digit next to the Tigers is because of another 4-0 start to this season. But if the Aggies want to pull out the win at home, it will be reversing a trend of sorts. Texas A&M has lost 6 straight against ranked teams. Now, despite being a top 10 team, though, Mizzou is still the slight underdog in this one. I'm sure they are well aware of it. It feels like everything, though, guys, is still in reach for both of these teams. So I want to hear from both of you on this, but let's start with Gerard. What's at stake for Mizzou?
Well, they want to keep the O in the loss column. They want to go undefeated. Going into that Alabama game, this is their first true road test to see where they're at. I mean, they had the 4 games earlier in the season. Vandy was kind of a little too close for comfort for them, so they're trying to see what they can do on the road versus another ranked opponent.
Carter, how about for A&M? What's at stake?
Yeah, I mean, well, going into this game, 4-game winning streak. Now they're, ranked 25th, and rebounding off the Notre Dame loss, beating Arkansas, beating Florida, Bowling Green, McNeese State. Those were expected. You're expected to win those games, but you beat a top 10 team at home, and now all of a sudden, the country's going to start paying attention to you. That'd be 5 straight wins going into a bye week. And you could make a case that it's one of the hottest teams in the country if they were able to pull this off. So their whole season would be in front of them if they win this game. If they lose this game, it's a little bit different.
Certainly. And Carter, the Kyle Field advantage is no joke. So how can the 11th man and, of course, the defense slow down Brady Cook and all the weapons he has at wide receiver?
Well, this has been an opportunistic defense. From a turnover perspective, they've got at least 1 pick in 4 straight games. They've got 7 picks on the year. So can he turn Brady Cook over? I know he's got 1 pick on the year. I think he probably hasn't been as productive as he would have hoped this season. So I think just preventing this from being a shootout. A&M is not a team that's going to win a lot of games 38-35. They're going to win them a lot like they did last Saturday against Arkansas, where it's probably a little ugly. It's 21-17, but hey, they get a few turnovers. They run the ball. They don't turn the ball over. That's how they win the game is turnover battle and not being in a shootout kind of situation.
And Gerard Drink had plenty of time to learn from that near scare against Vanderbilt. I'm sure they have that in the rear view. But overall, what was the focus of the bye week as they get ready for this one?
Red zone offense. Going into the bye, they were leading the nation in field goals. I think Blake Craig had 16 of them. The second person in second place had 13. So they're getting too many field goals for too dynamic of an offense that they have. They're bringing back their top 7 receivers from a year ago. They've got Brady Cook. They've got Kirby Moore in there for another year. So it was about third downs, red zone, getting more explosive plays through the air. I think Brady Cook is 3 of 14 on passes 20 yards or more this year for a $108 and 1 touchdown. So they want to kind of get deep going. And then on the other side of the ball, I think Drink said 22 missed tackles versus Vandy. They got to obviously learn how to wrap up a little bit and then stop the deep ball. They've been really good on defense, but 4 of their 6 touchdowns they've given up this year have been on blown coverage. So those were kind of the key things this week.
Gotcha. So create explosive plays, but limit them, of course, on defense. So who's playing quarterback is, of course, a big question mark for Texas A&M, and that affects both the Aggies prep and Mizzou's. So I want to get both of your perspectives on this. But first, Carter, I need to lay it out here that we are recording this on a Tuesday, so some things might change. But what do we know about who's potentially playing quarterback for the Aggies this Saturday?
Yeah, it feels like a question mark every week. When we asked Mike Elko about it yesterday, he said that, hey, Connor Wigman, third straight game will be a game-time decision. Last couple of weeks he was a game-time decision, but he didn't dress out for the game, didn't warm up. So I would expect he's getting closer to playing because, hey, it's been almost a month now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks since he re-aggravated that AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder. So it's an injury where it's difficult because it can flare up at any time, and you have to kind of take it week by week. So I think that's how they're kind of approaching it. They feel good about Marcel Reed if he is the quarterback that goes, but I don't think they're going to know until later this week.
How does that change things for the way that Mizzou preps for this game, Gerard?
I think it's kind of ironic. We just talked to Drink maybe an hour and a half ago, and his whole thing seemed to be the team's focused on Marcel Reed. He didn't really give too much about Wigman playing, mostly just saying that the offense that Mike Elko's team has kind of developed is centered around Reed and what he's been able to do. I mean, he's winning ball games and it's working. So he kind of had a mindset of why go away from what's working. He said it was a bunch of semantics, basically, in his opinion, that, Wigman is still listed at the top of the depth chart. He fully believes Marcel Reed is going to play. So I assume that they have something in mind if Wigman does play. I mean, they kind of be foolish not to, but it seems like their eggs are kind of focused on the basket of Marcel Reed and seeing what he does.
Yeah, we know coaches love to keep things close to the vest. They love the gamesmanship. But to that point, though, I do need to ask a follow-up here, Carter. I mean, there is the saying that you want to ride the hot hand, right? And Marcel Reed has been, great in cleanup duty as Wigman has been trying to heal. So how much is that maybe a consideration when they're trying to figure out who to play at quarterback?
Yeah, especially for a game like this, you would have wanted Wigman to maybe get his feet wet again. But, Marcel Reed, while he has pulled off these wins, while he has, not produced a turnover yet, it hasn't been just amazing, right? He's been averaging about 170 passing yards a game. The offense is stagnant at times. So I think you could still make the case that, hey, Connor Wigman, if he's anywhere close to where he was last year, he is a far better quarterback than Marcel Reed is right now. It's just coming off the injury. If his shoulder is not 100%, then you could make the argument up the other way with Marcel. And, Marcel, the hope was that he could get better every week. He kind of took a step back against Arkansas. He's had the biggest issue with his deep ball. So far on passes 20 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, he's 3 of 17. So the accuracy just hasn't been there. I think completion percentage-wise, he's now at 55.9%. So it hasn't been great, but he's winning games. He's not turning over the football. And what he does with his legs does create another element for this offense. So you can look at it a lot of different ways, but I think long-term, as long as Wigman can come back to where he was last season, I think he's the best quarterback.
Yeah, of course, Wigman, a former 5-star quarterback, so definitely has the tools for success. This is the part of the segment, guys, where we have a little bit of fun. So we simulated this game 20 times on EA College Football 25. You're taking a look at some of those video game highlights. Mizzou won it 13 of those 20 times. So they're kind of going away from what Vegas thinks is going to happen in this game. But for each team, let's start with the virtual winners. Gerard, what's the biggest key to pulling out a win in this real football game?
Kind of what you said earlier, get more explosive plays through the air and kind of limit the explosive plays on the other end. And stopping the run is huge, and trying to quiet that stadium down early on. I mean, they kind of expect that the communication may be a little hard to hear through the headsets and through the helmet, so they've got to be prepared to quiet the crowd down so they can kind of get focused and do what they need to do.
Carter, how about for the Aggies?
Yeah, for A&M is really good at protecting leads. We saw it late against Arkansas. When you have that pass rush, when you have a running back like Le'Veon Moss, you can run the clock out and you can get after the quarterback on obvious passing down. So getting a lead, protecting that lead, I think will be big. Winning the turnover battle, that's been a factor in every game so far. Gerard mentioned the explosive plays. I think that's the same thing for A&M as well, because this defense, while it's been pretty good for most of the year, explosive plays, giving up, some blown busted coverages and some big plays, whether it was Bowling Green, Florida, Arkansas, third play of the game at a 75-yard touchdown. limiting those and preventing this from becoming a shootout. This is, again, not a team that's going to win 38-35. They need this to be in the 20s, the low 20s if possible. Get to that early lead and protect that lead is, I think, the way that they win.
Makes a lot of sense, but selfishly, as a viewer, I want explosive plays. I want this to be a shootout. Either way, this is going to be a super fun game. Thank you both so much for breaking it down for us. Keep it locked into Power Mizzou for all things Missouri. We are currently running a special right now to welcome Power Mizzou to the 24/7 Sports family. It's 75% off VIP memberships through October 3rd, so take advantage of that. And also, of course, gig 'em 24/7 for everything you need to know about Texas A&M.